hope you're ready. This is going to be exciting.
And we got career starts up. We go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
It's playoff time. 12 drivers will battle, but only one can be named a champion. Tonight, we kick off all of the action for the SAVE22 Truck Series playoffs here at Richmond with the Goat Locker Racing League. Welcome back to the V-Speed booth. I'm Logan Threlkeld, and joining me once more, our co-commentator Sky Schreck and Eddie Smith behind the scenes controlling the cameras. Sky, glad to be back in the booth with you. That one off week to get ready for the playoffs nearly felt like it was a month long.
It really did. It feels like a while, but I'm so excited to be back here at Richmond for the first race of the playoffs. I think this is going to be a great one, and we've got a great playoff field this season too, and I think we're going to put on a show.
That we are. Speaking of playoff field, let's run you down on who our drivers are. Of course, we've got the 87 of Jake Ham, who's picked up 4 wins in the regular season here. We got Jeremy Gardner in the 42, who's picked up a couple as well. I believe 2 on the board for Gardner. Levi McCarty makes his way in with a couple of wins, 2 on the season at Las Vegas and Darlington. Patrick Drabick with the first one of the season at Daytona. Timothy Peters picks up Lime Rock. And then the rest of our drivers, I believe, have all made their way in on points. We've got Craig Bontrager in the 49, Jacob Ellingson in the 27, Jamie Mullins in the 66, the 4 of Mike Browning, the 22 of McCarthy, the 36 of George Jewell, and last but not least, the 68 of Steve McDonald. So we're going to start out with 12. We've got 2 races here to get us to the second round where we're going to eliminate 4. Down to a round of 8, and 2 more races to the championship 4. And last but not least, 1 more week, and then we'll have that champion. 5 more races on the season. Starts out here at Richmond tonight, Charlotte next week. Then we go down to Florida for Homestead, then come back up the East Coast to Martinsville. Last but not least, down to Texas to settle the score. Sky, what do you think about this upcoming set of races?
I think there's some great tracks in here. Charlotte, Homestead, two of my favorite tracks to go to in racing. Martinsville to end the round of 8 is another one that I'm really looking at. They do that in real life, and it is always chaotic when they do. I think that race is going to be wild. I think we're going to see some insane moves to try to make it at the end. Kind of shades of Ross Chastain type stuff.
Speaking of Ross Chastain, well, we'll take it to the Google images here of Richmond Raceway, located here in Virginia. What a track. It's so notorious just for how difficult it is. You can see here how flat those corners are. Only 14 degrees of banking. And it's only 3/4 of a mile around. 115 laps on the board tonight equals out to about 86 miles on the night. Not a long race by any means. But it's going to be a difficult one through and through. Now, Patrick Drabick won this race last year in the playoffs, last season. Ultimately, Jeremy Gardner came around, got that championship win. So let's see, who's it going to come down to? Who's going to take home this first win of the playoffs, Guy?
Well, when you look at the past season, there's one driver whose record at these tracks really sticks out to me, and that's Jake Ham. We've gone to some tracks like Iowa this season, and he has been so good there. This isn't an exact match to the Iowa and Dover that he's run at, but it's pretty similar to those two tracks, closer than any others on the schedule, and I think if he was able to do really good there, he's got a shot to do really good here and advance himself to the next round.
Caught fire late last season and has kept it rolling here. But let's roll right into our national anthem from our Navy vet, Jared Ashley.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And a big shout out to Jared Ashley for our nation's anthem. Qualifying is complete, however. Sky, let's get right into it. The Jam Printing and Promotions Pull Award goes to none other than Season 8 champion Jeremy Gardner with a 21.461. To his outside last season's winner, Patrick Drabick in the 07 Creamsicle Machine. Jake Ham in the 87, the hard charger this season, starts out row number 2 on the inside with Jacob Ellingson in the 27 on the outside. Jamie Mullins in the 66 takes up the 5th spot next to Timothy Peters in the 46. Regis Clark in the 8 machine will take it to 7th to start this race out next to Chance Taylor in the 14. Last but not least in our top 10, David Duke in the 78 and George Jewell in the 36.
And going back through your field, Craig Bontrager rolls off 11th tonight. Barrett Morton on his outside in 12th. Brandon Wallace starts 13th. Michael McCarthy in 14th. Levi McCarty is going to roll off 24th tonight. That's a driver with a lot of speed. So is Mike Browning in 16th, both playoff cars. 17th tonight will be James Goshen in the 85. Tyler Justice 18th and 33. And last two cars in your top 20 not taking qualifying times are going to be Stephen McDonald and Logan Sturgeon in 19th and 20th.
Just a couple more to go here. It's the 37 of Michael Seymour starting out in 21st position. Then it's the 75, Chuck Pegleg Phelps in 22nd. Last but not least, Matt Knights in the 64. Bring that Toyota Tundra from the back of the pack. See what he can do this week. It's not going to be an easy one. Richmond, always a very tough track to pass at. This bottom line is going to be so dominant up until the point of that rubber getting laid down. 115 laps to do it. 40 mile an hour down the pit road. It's going to be a difficult one to slow it down. Very odd entry here into pit road. 4 tire sets available for the race. 2 green-white checkers at the end of it if we need it. A 60% fuel load on the night with our standard fixed setup. It's not going to be easy for anybody here tonight, but 2 drivers that you have to keep an eye on right now. Last season's winner is Patrick Drabick. Starting on that outside is going to be a big advantage for him here. If he can get clear of the 42 of Gardner quickly, he can virtually run away with the first half of the race at least. Then you got to keep your eye out for that 87 of Jake Ham, who's just lit up the playoffs last season with 3 wins, the first repeat winner of season 8. And then he comes into season 9 with a hot streak, 4 wins on season 9. First repeat winner took Iowa, Milwaukee, Rockingham, Darlington. It's not going to be easy for anybody. I know I keep saying that, but it's going to be a difficult race if you want to finish this thing up here in the top 5. There's a lot of competition here tonight.
There is for sure. There's some great drivers all through the field, and a lot of these playoff guys who are starting kind of further back, like McCarthy, like Browning, like Levi McCarty, are going to want to move themselves forward for sure.
A little bit of a change up for some of those drivers who have made their way into the playoffs, but that pace truck is off. Green flag is out, and Jeremy Gardner will take us to the start here. Drabick still holding on to the outside, but not next to the driver he wanted to be by. It's the 87 of Jake Ham on the inside. Nearly contact through 1 and 2. Jeremy Gardner was able to get clear and free. It's likely to see that 42 run at this pace here for most of this race. It's a very hard pass to make. Virtually impossible around the outside unless you get really lucky. The inside line losing grip. Here goes the 87 of Jake Ham now. At about a bumper over Drabick. Nearly clear here. Likely be cleared through 3 and 4.
Tight battle between these two, and this is the kind of racing you're going to get a lot in the playoffs. These are 2 of the top cars coming in. Ham winning a bunch of races, Drabick winning some as well. These are 2 cars who we know can race up front, and now that the playoffs have started, they're not going to give each other an inch because every single point matters. As you see Jake Ham run Drabick a little bit up the road there, they're going to stay side by side because that 07 car is not backing down.
Drabick not wanting to lose that position by any means. I'm impressed by how he's able to hold it so close right now, using that outside lane. That is not where you want to be. He is going to utilize as much of that tire as possible, just trying to keep up with the 87 this early on in the race. Right now, Jeremy Gardner's loving what he's seeing in that rearview mirror. His 2 top contenders right now battling it out.
That outside is working better than I thought it would for Drabick. I thought once Ham got to the bottom there, he'd be able to soar around him, but he hasn't really been able to do that. That 07 car has been holding so tough on the top, and he got the advantage there. He'll get it down. Patrick Drabick with a great defense running on that top line to hold off Jake Ham. I wonder if it wore up his tires, and that might hurt him a little in the long run, but I don't think he's thinking about that for now. An amazing job defending from that 07. And Gardner's in the wall in front of him.
Nearly a big send to the inside. If Gardner didn't come back down after that wall tap, I think we might have seen some side-by-side action here for the lead. Like you mentioned, that was a fantastic display of how to use that outside line when it's just so hard to do so. On-point defense coming from the 07 early on in this race. He won it last year for a reason. Let's see if he can repeat this in season 9. Got that 42 right ahead now by about a quarter of a second. Both these drivers likely to take it easy for now as they've got some room off the back bumpers from Ham to Ellingson, nearly about a half second or so. So it's a little bit of a cushion early on as most of the field single filed out already. in the first 10 laps.
And I think that move from Drabic on the outside there proved it's going to kind of be hard to pass here. That 07 car did such a great job of fighting back that even Ham, who had the preferred line right now on the bottom, couldn't get anything going. If that continues through a lot of the field, I think it's going to be pretty hard to make a pass, especially in the early stages of this race. We might see this track change a little bit and that top line come into effect more, making some drivers, or letting some drivers make a pass up there. But for now, seems like it's pretty difficult to pass in the early part of this race.
Certainly, kind of puts some element of surprise into it. If you really want to dig into it, you can always hold that in your back pocket. Just stay right where you're at. If you're Patrick Drabic right now, hold on to this position. Just stay right all over the back bumper of Gardner. Put the pressure on him. Then whenever he's not thinking that you're going to go for anything, whenever you strike, it can be detrimental. As right now, Drabic nearly into the back bumper of Gardner.
Looking down the order here, there's only 2 cars in the field that have even moved up more than a couple spots, really. Barrett Morton +2, Levi McCarty +2 since the start. No one else has even gained really 2 spots. James Goshen did. He made a pass for 15th on that last lap, but those are 3 guys running in the midfield. They've all picked up 2 spots, and they're the only drivers to get 2 spots so far. A lot of people struggling. You see the onboard from James Goshen there. He's got a little bit of ground to make up before he gets to his next car. That would be the playoff driver up in front of him, Michael McCarthy.
McCarthy running deep in the field here. Not going to help the 22 out as much as he needs. A lot of room to work with. Of course, races like this at short tracks can always become a race of attrition. It's just a matter of finishing it out and seeing who crosses that checkered flag first sometimes. More so than it is a race. But luckily last year, if I recall correctly, only 4 or 5 cautions all night. There's a battle forming now between the 78 of Duke and the 8 of Regis Clark. Clark stuck on the outside. Barrett Morton right behind, looking to take advantage. Not quite clear for the 78 right now. Down into 1. Duke will have that preferred line here. Oh, and slides it up with barely any room to go.
David Duke, one of the highest running non-playoff drivers in the field right now, and he almost was. He had a great run 2 weeks ago. Really looked like he might be able to put himself in, but the race ended in disaster, and now he's on the outside of the playoffs. Not going to finish this season in the top 12. Doesn't matter, though, because he's still going to give it his all up here in 8th. Doing a great job, just like Drabic did, to hold off a car while riding on the outside.
Duke in the shoes of Jake Ham this season, where Ham did not make the playoffs but took 3 playoff wins. Duke could be that upset here for season 9. Maybe the script doesn't change that much. Just have to wait and see, as we've got 5 more races. 4 more after tonight, as the 24 looks to the inside now. Craig Bontrager in that orange 49 stuck up on the outside. Gets a better drive off of turn 4. He's going to get it right up next to the 36 even, George Jewell. Jewell sends it in the corner a little bit deeper, though. Gets back clear on corner exit. Contact with the wall, though. Bontrager has to lift and stay out of that left rear. Out of the inside for Bontrager.
Tight battle up here in this side-by-side. Bontrager hasn't really moved up too much. He started in 11th. He's sitting around there. He was one of our highest drivers in points who did not win his way in, so he's going to need to have a good race here tonight to try and boost himself further up.
Sorry there, Sky. There's some action a little bit further back I saw on the screen. Car sideways behind Bontrager in that second group. Couldn't quite tell who it was. And maybe Craig, or apologize, the 26 of Sturgeon. Couldn't quite tell.
Bontrager's still making that move here up the inside, and he will get 11th back. Maybe no. 36 still fighting back. George Jewell doing a great job to hold him off. That's another car in the playoffs. In fact, I think he was the last or second to last car in the playoffs. He was the second to last car into the playoffs. Had a very dramatic race last week trying to get his way in. He is going to need to do a lot to catch up to some of these guys who have a little more bonus points up there in front of him.
That he does, but You got a couple races to get it settled. If you're not great at the short tracks, you always got next week. You know, it's kind of planning in advance type of thing. For Charlotte, race entirely different than anything that we will see here tonight. But you're feeling confident at a short track. Tonight's the night to do it. Jeremy Gardner right now leading all of this race up to this point. Still sitting at that quarter of a second mark over Drabick, but Drabick and Gardner have both driven away from Jake Ham right now. Over a second, separating second and third place. Drabick not letting up on the attack by any means, keeping all the pressure that he wants right on the back bumper of the 42.
Absolutely, Drabick has done such a good job to keep that car one spot behind Gardner back there. He's really keeping that thing on his bumper. Jake Ham has fallen off a lot. Ellington's fallen off a lot. Drabick still keeping the pace. And he's done it for a pretty long run here. We're about 26 laps in, and he's shown no sign of fall off. Pretty quick 07 machine.
Always a threat at the short tracks. Again, just to reiterate, the 07 of Drabick taking home this exact race last season. So he's got the experience here. Jeremy Gardner took the championship. So you've got two top contenders here, separated by less than a quarter of a second. We're already 26 laps into this race completed. I don't know if there's going to be too much of a change here. Looks like Gardner and Drabick just able to find all of the grip right now, just leaving the rest of the field in the dust.
Gardner's got momentum. He was the winner 2 weeks ago in our last race at Nashville, so he's feeling good from that one. It's put him on a pretty good note coming into the playoffs, and he's led the first 28 laps of this race as well. He'll see if he can hold this on for the rest of the race. Try to go back-to-back to get his third win of the season. He also won Kansas for our third race of the season.
Bonus points on top of bonus points right now for Jeremy Gardner. Drabick with the first win there at Daytona. It's a little bit further behind if you want to talk about the points situation. But still has plenty of time to do it. Still single filed out through the rest of the field, maybe a little bit further back there. Change of position for Brandon Wallace and Stephen McDonald for 19th. This is the closest battle on the field right now. Looks like behind 99 here. We got a battle starting to form. This is, I believe, the 75 of Chuck Phelps and the 37 of Seymour getting a little bit closer here lap by lap. Brandon Wallace, always one of those guys to show up here. And of course, peg leg, Chuck Phelps. Sun's out, guns out for the 75.
He is locked in, focused. Look at it. Look at him right now. He is so focused on trying to get this car up ahead of that 68 machine, Stephen McDonald, in front of him. He's not even blinking.
Who needs to blink? You don't need to blink. Chuck Phelps always here week after week, turning laps with the crew. We will see him make his way up here to the top 10 towards the end of this race. 21st right now, a lot of room to do so. Greg Bontrager looking for a position now. George Jewell on the outside, 49 on the inside. A little sideways for Bontrager there.
And that'll lose him a spot to the car behind him, the 24 Levi McCarty. Tried to slide through there. He's going to go all the way up to the wall on exit, and that'll give him the run he needs. McCarty clear. P15 to P12, one of the biggest movers through the field here early on in this race. Bontrager, another playoff car, down 2. Going to need to pick up the pace a little bit unless he wants to make his life very difficult next week.
So ideally here for McCarty is to make your way back up to at least the top 8. Try to get your spot signed for the next round. Obviously, things can always change next week, but if you start out in a good point standing over your peers, then obviously it relieves some pressure going into the following week. 24 doing a good job here. Took home that win at Las Vegas and Darlington. Looking to take away one here at Richmond as well.
McCarty
It
is
looks like 66 of Mullins is starting to close up the gap to Timothy Peters, now within about a tenth of a second to the 46 machine. Craig Bontrager's closing that door now to Levi McCarty once more. McCarty might be able to find some extra speed here, catch back up to the 36 of George Jewell. Put him one step closer to the top 10. Go ahead, Sky.
I was going to say McCarty's been driving it really hard. He's taking some lunges down into these corners. Not going to do it here. He'll run a little bit higher, but sometimes if he's close enough to think he's got a move on the car in front of him, you'll see him just send it off down into the corner and try to get that move made. He's driving it pretty hard early on, trying to get some spots up through the field because he's another playoff driver who started further towards the back. He's got 2 wins this season. He's going to try to get some more here in the playoffs to lock himself into the next round.
On board now with the InVets in-car camera, you can see just how much he's having to wheel this thing coming off of the corners. You can see the steering input to the right on corner exit. As that rear end starts to slide out, there's the correction. Saves it, but you're just burning up those rear tires. Every time you do that, rear tires are going to be the most important here tonight. On top of that 60% fuel cell. When will we see these drivers start to bring it down pit road, top off for fuel and for new tires, get that grip level back up? So even Patrick Drabick has fallen off of our leader, Jeremy Gardner, starting to run away with it. Drabick almost back by 3/4 of a second now. All the battling right now happening in the middle of this field.
McCarty is so loose. You could really see him just rocking that wheel back and forth to try to hold on to it. I think a lot of drivers in the field probably in pretty similar positions as we head over 40 laps into this run, over a third of the way through this race already. A lot of these drivers who pushed it in the early stages of this run are going to be feeling it now, slipping and sliding a little off the corners. Here's a side-by-side back for 15th. Playoff driver Mike Browning on the top, Logan Sturgeon on the bottom. That 26 is your biggest mover, plus 4 positions, trying to make it plus 5 on that 4 car.
Every time you get that
position. Spin up front. Levi McCarty got turned.
Oh, no. It looks like we've got the 78 bringing it down pit road. Might have been collected in that as well. Have to take this back on the replay. See what happened between these two. Duke not a playoff driver. McCarty is.
This was between Bontrager. I think David Duke was just trying to make a pit stop when all this happened. I don't know if he got on pit road. He might get a penalty if he didn't.
Here comes Duke. Hits the apron. So Duke just gets into the barrels a little bit. There's the 24 slow behind. So Duke not involved with this, but does pick up a tad bit of damage. Now we're looking here at the 24. Bontrager just sends it into the corner a little bit too hard. Gets that left rear of McCarty. Not a whole lot of damage, though. That was a pretty low-speed wreck, but that's going to reset this entire field. Now on board with Bontrager. There's that contact there. Just sends the 24 backwards into turns 3 and 4. Then you can see that contact with the pit barrels for David Duke. Neither one of those trucks are going to have too much damage that they can't return.
Pit stops are going to start in full now. David Duke was trying to make a little bit of an early one, but he's going to end up going a lap down on it, so he's going to end up not getting any advantage at all from doing that. Everyone will come down. I imagine it's probably going to be pretty bad for Levi McCarty, playoff driver who might have to go to the back to fix some damage when it's already hard to pass. Cars making their way out now. Looks like Jeremy Gardner leads them off, followed by Drabick, Jacob Ellingson, Timothy Peters, and Jake Ham.
This will be a good time to see what this can change here for us. Obviously, putting some fresh tires underneath. These trucks will drive a little bit different as we've got some rubber laid down on the track. So we'll see how these drivers can navigate this difference from this first stint to the next one, potentially able to take it all the way to the end. I don't know when these drivers were planning on bringing it down under green flag conditions. But why don't we take a second here to thank one of our supporters here, one of our sponsors of Goat Locker Racing. That's Lincoln Tech. Lincoln's mission is to provide superior education and training to our students for in-demand careers in a supportive, accessible learning environment. transforming students' lives and adding value to their communities. They are one of the largest automotive technology schools in the nation with 23 campuses. They are the title sponsor of the Goat Locker Spring Series and a very large partner of Goat Locker as a whole. I mean to cut you off there, Sky. Go ahead with what your thought was.
I was just going to say, Craig Bontrager got an EOL, so that's 2 playoff cards. Bontrager and McCarty going to the back of the field, and that is going to be huge, especially with how hard to pass it is.
That EOL for Bontrager, I believe, will be a cause of caution EOL. Race control being controlled by Charles Abert here, as always. Big shout out to Charles for taking care of all that stuff behind the scenes. Doesn't get enough recognition for it. We are doubled back up here. Pace truck is pulling off into that in-vets restart zone we go. Jeremy Gardner leading the way. Green flag is out. Back under race conditions here. A little bit of a stack up there for the end of the top line. Gardner with another big jump right out of the gate. Drabick able to get down a whole lot sooner, though, this time. Ellingson now up to third place. And another big spin down the backstretch. Looks like the 14 of Chance Taylor gets into the inside wall. Caution does not come out. Still green up at the front. And it's a 3-wide battle here going into turn 1. Looks like for about 5th place. That was sketchy there for a second. Oh, yeah, sideways.
No caution's going to really hurt Chance Taylor. He's not in the playoffs, but I'm sure he wants a good finish, and that is not going to be a good finish for him if he's got to drive it all the way back. We might be going 3 wide. We are going 3 wide. Mike Browning wants to get it done. He'll back out before entry, but that's only because Jamie Mullins kind of got pulled into the middle there of that 3 wide. A lot of playoff drivers who didn't have good starts to the race are trying to make up for it now, including that 85 of Michael McCarthy, who took a little bit of a peek through the middle there again.
9 of Barrett Morton struggling to find the traction that he needs right now. Still outside here. They went into turn 1 almost in a diamond formation 2 laps in a row here. The 85 trying to make his way up. James Goshen, though, the 4 Browning sideways down the back stretch. That will bring out a caution this time. Barely touches the inside wall. Got really lucky there.
That one is a playoff car, that 4-car round. Another playoff driver with trouble here. Mike Browning came into this race as one of the higher-up playoff cars. He did really good in the regular season, but this will not help him.
Lugging that yellow line through 1 and 2, comes up the track and just gets loose in front of Morton. Morton tags the wall, gets straightened back out, and ultimately just had too much speed compared to the 4s. He was still sliding sideways out of turn 2. On board now with Barrett Morton. Front row seat here. It's not enough time to even react. Morton had nowhere to go.
Neither did James Goshen, who got hit pretty hard in that as well.
We're going to stack them back up and try it one more time. This time, though, why don't we go ahead and say thanks to SAVE22. SAVE22 is a 501c3 organization dedicated to preventing suicide among veterans, active duty personnel, and first responders. Our unwavering mission extends to 4 critical pillars: shield, assist, volunteer, and educate. SAVE22, and you can visit them at save22.vet anytime. Definitely check them out. A lot of cool stuff they do over there behind the scenes. Well, Sky, we've kind of seen the ups and downs already. A lot more shakeup here in the current running order. Logan Sturgeon's now up to 12th, so he's our biggest mover of the race so far with 8 positions gained. Matt Knights has brought it from the back of the field to 16th. Back here on the instant replay one more time. Here's what happens to Chance Taylor. Same exact thing as what we just saw. Just got loose, however, he had no contact from behind. And being a little bit further back in the pack, not enough cars to not really even further back in the pack. He was up there in the top 10, but he got low enough, quick enough that it did not trigger that caution to come out.
It didn't, which is unfortunate for him because he took a pretty big hit. He's got to get some damage fixed. He went 3 laps down, all said and done in that.
Couldn't quite tell if the engine had much damage there. I didn't see any smoke coming out of the 14. However, it could still cause some cooling issues with a nice hard hit. There you can see it perfectly with the pit road camera. Exactly how dented in the center of that bumper is. Even the fender's taking a little bit of a lick there, but ultimately you can drive with damage all over the side of this truck at short tracks, so it's not that big of a deal. However, the cooling will be Taylor off and away, even with a still heavily damaged 14 truck. Double back up coming down the back stretch into turn 3 and 4. Jeremy Gardner will lead the way once more. Drabick still to the outside. Ham makes his way back to the inside here. Ellingson behind Drabick. Pace truck is off. Geico restart zone, and away we go once more.
Good jump for that 42 car down on the inside, and Jake Ham is going to immediately try to send it up the inside of Patrick Drabick to get that move done for P2, and he's got the advantage through 1 and 2. Can Drabick defend again on the outside, or will that 87 finally get clear? The 07 is running him all the way down to that yellow line and then some through the corners, doing everything he can to erase Ham's run, but he just doesn't have it right now. Drabick is loose, and Jake Ham makes the move for second.
Drabick loose out of 2 there. I thought there was going to be contact with the right rear of Ham. Drabick does a fantastic job to keep it off of the 87. The 87 does a great job of recognizing the loose 07 to his outside, and now takes over second place. And we'll see if Ham can challenge Gardner now for this first place position. Be a change of pace here for the 42 to see a different car in the rearview mirror. However, Ham last time fell back quite a ways very quickly compared to the top 2. Looks to arc it in a little bit more here. Just a bit deeper of an entry, shallows out on the exit. Looks like he loses a little bit of ground behind on board the InBet's in-car camera once more with Jake Ham. You can see he's trying to find an opening. He's almost forcing the issue right now. We're just over halfway through this race. Might be just trying out some different lines, seeing what works, and might hold on to it. So, big time into the inside. He gets there, but nearly contact with the 42. They keep it off of each other, and now here's the challenge that we thought was going to wait a little bit later. Ham to the inside. He's got the nose. Does he get the bumper? He's clear of the 42 of Gardner.
Well, Jake Ham knows it's hard to pass, and he also knows he didn't really have the long run speed that these 2 cars had over the last run, so he might as well try to get it done now while he's got the faster car. Jake Ham trying to pull away a little bit from Gardner, opening up that gap already to the 42 car behind him. He won 4 races during the regular season. He won at Iowa. He won at Dover. He'll try to add Richmond to that too.
A great way to kick it off. You know, talking to Ham after that last race last season, he felt like he had the talent to be here in the playoffs, felt like he could be a top contender. He's already kicking off these playoffs here, showing that he's got what it takes, backing up his words from season 8. Let's see how long he can continue up here in the lead. Drabick has anything for him, or Jeremy Gardner wants that lead back. We'll just have to wait and find out.
Ellingson also not really fading away in this battle just yet. He's holding on to that 4th place position quite well with Drabick up in front of him. That 27 is doing a very good job to not fall back quite as much as he did last run. Another driver that's gone up a bunch of spots here is Regis Clark, running in that 5th position. He's gained a few since the start, but we're side by side for second because Drabick is sending it up the inside on Jeremy Gardner.
Got to that back bumper just enough to make Gardner move up the track through 1 and 2. However, Gardner was able to find a little bit better traction in the lane he ran. Got right back in front of the 07 as Patrick Drabick got loose on corner exit. Falls back now 0.2 of a second. Jake Ellingson right there behind the 07, looking for an opportunity to make his way up into the top 3 for the first time tonight. Comes the 07 once more, closing that gap up to the 42. See if he sends it down into turn number 1. He likes to keep it a little bit higher there on the entry, so still trying to set up the run that he wants to challenge for that second place spot once more.
And we know Drabic can do it because he stayed so close to Gardner on that first run. I think the biggest question is now on this second run, will these cars start to catch back up to Jake Ham here over the course of the next 20 or 30 laps? We know that Jake Ham didn't really have it on the long run. He dropped over a second back and then some from the top two. Will he be able to hold on this time? Will he improve his tire saving? Or will Gardner and Drabic get back 1 and 2 just like they did for so long during the last stint?
That's where experience comes in over talent sometimes. Being able to know you have to hold on to those tires for this late race run. You have to assume that it's going to be a green flag finish from here on out. Racing being very, very clean so far this race, and especially helps being mostly single filed out. Like at the very back of the pack, a little bit of a challenge for position, but it's already sorting itself out before even getting to it. Our top four just seemingly starting to run away a little bit here. Ham leads that line. Gardner in second, Drabic third, Ellingson in fourth. Timothy Peters here up in the top five. A little bit of room here between Peters and Clark. That's your winner of our road course this season. 46 took home Lime Rock just a few weeks ago. That locked his way into the playoffs here, although probably would have had it by points. In a connection issue now for the 46. That's not what you want to see. Looks like, yeah, back on track now across the tri-oval, but that is a dangerous situation for everybody else around him.
Yeah, he's going to go all the way back here until that car ends up blinking itself back in. It is struggling. You don't want to get one of those black flags for internet connection. We're battling back up here for the lead because Jeremy Gardner, that gap was about 0.4 of a second. He's closed it under 0.2 of a second. Really making up some time towards Jake Ham in the lead, and a little further back, we're side by side as well as Peters kind of blinked himself all the way back to 10th. Lost out a ton of spots, and now he's fallen behind Bontrager in 9th. 2 seconds lost on that internet issue for the 46, and Gardner is there side by side up front.
There we go. The 42 takes the inside there from Jake Ham. 1 and 2 being the bread and butter right now for Jeremy Gardner. Ham not wanting to let go that easily, though. He's going to stay all over the back bumper here. Well, let's see. Drabic, there he is. A little bit further behind for the 07. Ellingson still right on his back bumper. So it's a battle for first and a battle for third right now up here in the top four. And it's about a second and a half back from fifth to sixth. From fourth to fifth, rather. Side by side now, Sturgeon on the inside here, the 22. Michael McCarthy stuck up on the outside. This battle going on for spot just outside of the top 10 here for 11th. Door to door as the Big Fish barbecue sauce truck makes its way down the backstretch, still clinging to the inside line here.
Michael McCarthy is a playoff driver who really needs to get up from 11th and pick up some positions. On the other hand, Logan Sturgeon kind of playing spoiler. Gone 8 spots since the start of this race, from 20th to 12th. That car's got a lot of speed in it, and he's found a lot of speed in recent weeks as well. He had a podium not too long ago. That 26 might not be in the playoffs, but he's kind of getting hot at the right time.
26 found the pace that he needed here late in the season. Unfortunately, did not make the playoffs by the contingency of races completed, races attended, rather. I think he might have been able to point his way in with that hot streak that he had there at the end of the season. Unfortunately, just not enough races under the belt. Still looking here to the inside of McCarthy. 22 getting the advantage right now, but still hasn't been able to make his way back down to that bottom line that he needs to get to preserve those tires. That top line has the speed. Going to put about a distance of 1 truck between them. Sturgeon runs it in a little bit deeper and closes that gap completely, nearly getting into the 22 on corner exit there.
That 26 is racing really hard. He'll back out here and see if he can get a better run on corner exit compared to the 22. Dropping it down off the corner to do just that, and he'll get right back up to the bumper, nearly into the bumper and into the bumper of the 22. I said he might do it, and then he did. Yeah, he is shoving that 22 car out of the way. That is a playoff driver, and he's racing him like the race is on the line here for 11th. Logan Sturgeon a little frustrated there with McCarthy.
He's not trying to wreck him. He just wants to rattle his cage.
Oh, and back up front, Jake Ham has just gotten passed by Patrick Drabick for P2. Ham really fell off as soon as he lost that lead. We knew from the first run he didn't really have the long run car, and it's already started to go away from him. About 30 laps into this one, he's now under threat from Jake Ellingson in 4th.
This is a great drive coming from the 27. He's showing a lot of long run speed here now. Crosses the stripe with the advantage now. Ellingson into the top 3. Let's see if he has anything to say to Patrick Drabick or Jeremy Gardner at the end of this thing.
He might.
A textbook pass there from Ellingson.
Yeah, he's gaining a lot of time too. He was kind of stuck behind Jake Ham on that first run. Wasn't really able to get any sort of speed advantage built up at all, but now he's got it working really well. Making that move up into P3. He's still got the gap down under a second to the 42 of Jeremy Gardner. We're going to take a look at the lap times here. I'm going to see if he is faster than those two. Both the 07 and the 27 were quite a bit faster than the 42 of Jeremy Gardner on that last lap. We'll see about this one where those cars come across the line. Pretty equal lap times from everyone, but Patrick Drabick and Jacob Ellingson both about half a tenth quicker than the 42.
Could be strategy, you know, just let Drabick and Ellingson sit in that bubble there. Looks like the 46 now, Timothy Peters, is going to bring it down pit road. Or if this is a strategy call, or if it's due to the internet issues that he's experiencing right now. Right sides go up. Definitely taking at least 2. And that's going to be all it is. 2 and a top off on fuel for the 46. He'll work his way back out here. Be 1 lap down. But if everybody else has to bring it down, he'll assume that back once that cycle starts to go through. Didn't quite get a chance to talk to some of these drivers as I like to normally pre-race to see what the fuel run is like. 60% for the night certainly changes up some strategy.
And it was a big wiggle from the 22 out of the corner that's once again let Logan Sturgeon get right back into this battle for 10th now after Peters came down the pit lane. McCarthy really needing a good run, but this 26 car will not let him go. Maybe had another car come down the pits there. Yes, George Jewell also bringing it into the pit lane, so the pit stop cycle has truly started now. A couple cars coming down. We'll see who's next.
Oh, Duke around again, gets the bumper from the 4. The chrome horn does its work. Mike Browning gets into the back bumper now. The 78 sending him sideways after a big check up there on the bottom. The 22 of Michael McCarthy was slow. Looked like he was trying to enter for a pit stop. That is worst case scenario for a couple of these drivers that just pit.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to get into the pits there, but he couldn't really get the car pulled down onto the apron. David Duke had no idea he was trying to do that and just kind of got checked up into the back of him.
I just want to say, what an avoidance there. I believe that was a 33 of Tyler Justice. He just got extremely lucky and skill. I don't know what to call this, but on board now with Justice. Got the battle forming ahead, going into 3. See that 22 slowed down. That's all the contact here, but look at this gap, this reaction here. Man, between the wall and Duke, with the nose pointed down the track, that's a dangerous place to be, but he found the gap and held it straight through. A whole lot of race cars coming down pit road now. 42 leading the way. It's like Peters and I believe George Jewell will both hang out on the track.
Yeah, that is That is worst case scenario for those two cars there, Jewel and Peters, because they already made the pit stop. They're going to get the wave around here, but they're going to be on older tires than everybody else, and Peters especially only took 2. So that's really going to hurt him now. Coming out of the pit lane, Drabic leads him off, then Gardner. Jamie Mullins jumps it up to 3rd. Jacob Ellingson, and a bad stop for Jake Ham, puts him back to 5th.
Ham definitely does not want to be that far back here, but it will still start him on the inside line, so that is a benefit there for the 87 over Jacob Ellingson. He's starting in 4th on the outside line, not where you want to be at all, especially so late in the race. Coming in on just 20 laps to go, Sky.
Yeah, we had an issue for Regis Clark. He's got a penalty for speeding in the pits, so he is going to have to drop to the very back. And while he is making his way back through the field here, we want to give a shout out to another one of our partners at Goat Locker Racing, that being Jam Printing and Promotions. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They've been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning. They're local and veteran certified, and when they do well, they do good in the community. And not only do they do well, but their driver does well, because Patrick Drabic, with those colors, leading the race right now.
Drabic got out of the pits first over Jeremy Gardner, so a big switch here for the 42. He'll be starting on the outside this time. A big change of pace now, as Drabic will have a huge advantage controlling this restart and immediate access to the inside line through 1 and 2. Let's see what Drabic can do with it. See that Goat Locker playoff banner right there. That's how you can identify some of these drivers here, and there's a whole lot of them up in the top 10 right now. Pace car will come off. Drabic on the inside will lead us to the Invets restart zone. Green flag in the air, and back on the loud pedal we go, and a big jump for Drabic there. Exactly what he needed to take control of this race so late. Ellingson on the outside now. Looks like the 66 of Mullins falling back just a touch, but it's a battle behind
David
him.
Duke around.
Oh, a third time that Duke is involved in an incident. No caution coming out, though, for this one.
Oh, almost contact up front for Jake Ham. He got into the side of the 66 car, and it looked like for a half second they were going to go around there. Everyone got it out okay, but that 66 of Jamie Mullins is going to lose spots, and there goes Jake Ham into the inside wall, back up across the track. George Jewell barely made it out of that. Caution is out.
Wow. What just happened?
I'm not sure. We're going to have to find out.
That front left fender completely gone. Engine likely heavily damaged from a big hit to the inside wall. That is a meatball flag for Jake Ham. That is a race ender for the 87.
Oh my goodness. It almost started up here because he got into the side of that 66 car, and that was when I thought Jake Ham was going to wreck. He made it through that just fine, had no issues through there, but then coming out of 2, lost it head on into the inside wall. His car is done, and George Jewell splitting that 87 car there.
I got very lucky there. You could see those rear tires locked down completely. He just had so much momentum coming off that corner, and it's so slick down there on the apron. That 87 couldn't get slowed up just enough before he got back into traffic. There's a look a little bit further back at what happened to the 78 of David Duke. Essentially the same thing here for Duke. Coming out of 2, it's loose there off the bottom, surprisingly enough. They'll put the nose of the inside wall, spin around a couple times, tags the rear, tags the nose one more time. 78 not having the night that he wanted to have by any means. A rough go at it here in Richmond. Who's having a good night? It's still the 07 of Drabic up there at the front. 42 of Gardner right next to him. Ellingson and Bontrager now up here in the top 4. Eric Morton to 5th. Got the 22 of Michael McCarthy to 6th. Jamie Mullins holds on to 7th after we saw the 66 fall back a couple spots there. A little loose there mid-corner. That contact with Jake Ham. Logan Sturgeon will be right around that same area. Mike Browning in the 4 has made his way up to 9th. Tyler Justice, 33 and 10th. Got a couple more drivers there. Just waiting outside the top 10 right now, trying to peek their way in. Brandon Wallace has made his way up to 11th on the night. Good night for the 99 here. He's up 2 positions, not too far, but a top 10 finish could be the icing on the cake for Wallace. We're going to stack them back up now.
Some of these guys really need good runs, especially the playoff cars who have been stuck kind of towards the back of the field all race. Levi McCarty was running like 10 or 15 seconds off the lead for a lot of this. He's gotten himself back up to 15th. A couple other cars, Mike Browning had issues back up to 9th. This is going to be a good shot for some of these guys in the playoffs who haven't been able to make passes, who haven't had good days. Try to get something going here late.
Down into turn 3. Ace truck comes off. Invet's restart zone coming up. Drabic with control again. On the inside, green flag away. Drabic drives away from the 42 right now. He'll have about 2 truck lengths before turn 1. Ellingson to the inside immediately. He's going to sneak his way up to 2nd. Let's see if he gets clear of the 42 on exit. He does, but Gardner looks back to the inside down the back stretch. Gets the nose here in turn 3. Loses the momentum just slightly, though. Ellingson will get back in front across the line. Gardner not going away. Side by side behind as well for the 22 of McCarthy and the 9 of Barrett Morton. A couple good battles starting to form up here in the top 10. The 22 loose. The 99 loose as well.
You'd say he's not the only one. A couple cars getting really loose out of there. Everybody is going for it right now, and the 22 is being put 3 wide because he's losing some time. He got loose as well. Cold track right now. Cars are struggling. We might go 3 wide down into here because we've got McCarty trying to work the very top line to get himself back through this field. It is chaos back here in the mid-pack. These drivers are absolutely going for it.
Chaos is putting it nicely, Sky. There's a whole lot of race cars back here. Multiple situations of 3 wide at times. And this is all right around that back half of the top 10. Side by side once more, Justice and Goshen going at it this time. Goshen sends it deep on the outside, but he's going to get that front end slid up the track just a touch. Collects it back up, gets a good drive off the corner, but Justice still right there on the inside. Now they're looking to split the 4 of Mike Browning. Goshen still looking to the outside. 33, still inside. Oh, big time loose for Browning and Goshen. Both drivers collect it back up, though. Great save.
And in a playoff system like this where you've only got 2 races, absolutely every point you can get matters. And we're seeing that right now with this intense racing. These guys like McCarty and George Jewell running back here around 12th and 13th. They need to get up through the field because if they don't, it's going to put them in a hole going into next week at Charlotte. They need these good runs. McCarty is even trying to take it 3 wide to get himself a couple extra spots here as Browning is into the fence up in front of him.
This is getting hectic now, and it is 10 to go, Sky. Richmond is almost to a close. Levi McCarty still on the inside. There's the 85 right at his door. My goodness, you can't get much more tight here for this battle for 10th. The rest of the top 10's pretty well single-filed out, too. Separated by 4.5 seconds from 1st to 10th. But this is all the rage right here. Right at 11th. Goshen gets a good run on the outside now. Tyler Justice fading back on the inside line. Here comes the 8 now of Regis Clark looking for a rebound.
Oh, the 4 car's loose, and that is nearly disaster for the 85 of Goshen and the 33 of Tyler Justice back there. Browning has been driving it for everything he has. He's gotten loose off the corner a couple times now, and it almost came back to bite the cars behind him. They're still side by side. They haven't settled this down yet. McCarty hasn't settled it down back there for 12th. He's looking up the inside, and now Goshen is going to try to send on that 4 car to get himself up to 9th. We're running out of laps. It's 7 to go right now. These drivers are racing like it's 1 to go.
It pretty well is back here because once you get around, it's going to be so hard to find that momentum to get back around the person that just passed you. unless they make a mistake. Goshen finally got an opening to that bottom line right ahead of the 33, and now he's trying to take advantage of it as we are 2 by 2 by 2 for 9th all the way back to 13th. Now starting to single file out a little bit. The 4, Mike Browning, all the way up the racetrack this time. Goshen, he got side by side, but that's a big drive off from the top of the track there. The 8 of Regis Clark now to the outside of Goshen. Here's a resurgence for the 8 machine. Right behind Timothy Peters as well, looking to take into the top 10 here. See if he can find that late momentum. Oh, Tyler Justice sideways in turns 3 and 4, right in front of half the field. Everybody avoids it. The caution flag does come out, however.
That's going to give us overtime. We're going to go back green with under 2 to go, and Patrick Drabick, who had a half a second lead, not loving that one.
See the frustration there. He wanted that to go green to the end. Now he's got to worry about keeping the tires underneath, as he has got about 22 laps completed on this set of tires now. Been a little while since the top 5 have been down. Looks like actually the top 11 all on the same pit strategy here at that last caution. So it could shake things up. You might see a little bit more wheel spin here on this restart. Ultimately, it's going to be all about controlling emotions right now. This is where that battle really starts mentally and physically. You've been racing for over 100 laps already. Now you got to beat yourself to get to the end of this race. Let yourself hold yourself up. Here's that battle back here around that 10th place spot. An eye on that pink and yellow 33. Down through 1 and 2. You got Timothy Peters to the outside. Clark and Goshen just ahead. Here's where the action starts. He just sends it into 3, locks up the brakes, gets sideways, nearly collects it. George Jewell with another great reaction there to get around that one. The 68, holy cow. Steve McDonald was trying to go to the outside there, but saw the 33 start to slide up the track. That was about as close as you can get. Let's take a look at the onboard there with Steve McDonald. You can see that's a ways way up the track. Plenty of time to react, but whenever it spins around like that, man, he was playing chess while Justice was playing checkers.
That was a crazy one. This is going to be 2 to go on the restart. We get 2 attempts at a green-white checker. This is going to be the first one here at Richmond. And these laps are short. We're only running lap times around 21 seconds, 22 seconds here. So you've got about 45 seconds to put it all on the line and to try to get yourself a move that'll win you the race. Up front, it'll be Drabick and Gardner, the 2 cars who have ran the show so far for much of this race. Drabick looked like he was going to get the win until that caution came out. And now, suddenly, Gardner and even Jacob Ellingson, Craig Bontrager behind are all right back into the fight. Drabick's got 1 win this season and Gardner has 2. But if you look behind him, no one else in this top 10 has managed to win a race this year. So Ellingson, Bontrager, Morton, Sturgeon, all of these drivers looking for that first win, and a lot of them, like Bontrager, are looking to lock themselves into the playoffs.
Into the next round of playoffs, at least here. Right now, going into turn 3, looking at the back side of the field, off the back of the 42. It's a whole line of trucks. The pace truck comes off. In Vets restart zone we go. Drabick, an early jump this time, trying to catch the 42 sleeping, and he does. A huge jump for the 07. Let's see if they can keep it green here, as even Ellingson makes his way to the 2nd place position around Jeremy Gardner. Barrett Morton out of the inside of the 42 as well. Gardner at risk of losing that top 3 position, but he makes a resurgence here. Almost gets back to the back bumper of the 27. White flag is in the air. It's official from here. Drabick nearly a half second. Ellingson under fire. The 42 backs off just a touch. Here comes Craig Bontrager around the outside. Let's see if he's got a move for the 42 to take away 3rd. Gardner looks to the inside of Ellingson, backs it down just a touch. But out of turn number 4, it's Dravik taking home the first win of the playoffs. Ellingson taking home second, just edging out last season's champion, Jeremy Gardner, to take home third. What a finish.
We got a wreck behind him that involved a couple playoff cars coming to the line there. Logan Sturgeon got turned in front of the field. Browning, George Jewell, McDonald, all losing a bunch of spots in that.
Not what you want to see if you're a playoff driver. At least one of them involved. Take it back on the instant replay here. Sky, why don't you go ahead and break this one down for us?
Yeah, Sturgeon's already in the fence there. He might have had an issue with Regis Clark, and then it all kind of develops back behind him. You've got a few cars in the playoffs. Oh, he got turned by the 66 into the outside wall there, and then here he comes down into playoff car number 1, Mike Browning. He's going to get into George Jewell right here. That sends Jewell around. Stephen McDonald also spinning backwards in that as well. Several cars who needed good runs today are going to lose about 3 or 4 spots right at the end of the race.
It's not at all what you want to happen at the very end of it all. Unless you're the 07 of Dravik, started out second on the night, 28 laps led, and the most important one to take home first playoff win at Richmond. What a way to kick this off. It was quite impressive there from that Jam Printing and Promotion Chevy Silverado. And of course, teammate Jake Ellingson, too, right behind to get around the 42 to finish this one out. Big celebration from both of those drivers. But let's send it to a quick commercial break, then we'll be right back here with our post-race coverage and interviews with our top 3 finishers. Stick around. Be right back.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
And we're back here live from Richmond, where Patrick Dravik took home the first win of the playoffs here in the SAVE22 Truck Series presented by Goat Locker Racing. Dravik on top of the podium with teammate Jacob Ellingson falling in second here. A great team day overall. Good day for both those playoff drivers, beating Jeremy Gardner here, last season's champion, takes home third on the night. Solid start for him as well. Greg Bontrager makes his way up to fourth here for the 49 crew, followed up by the 9 of Barrett Morton in fifth. Michael McCarthy, the 22, makes his way back up to sixth here to finish out the night. He ran up front for quite a while, or at least close to it, but 8 positions gained on the night for the 22. Jamie Mullins in the 66. He's going to take it all the way to seventh here. The 46 of Timothy Peters, he found his way to the top 5. Internet connection issues set him back to just outside of the top 10. Works his way back up to 8th to finish this one out. James Goshen in the 85 will take home 9th. And the 4 of Mike Browning will be your top 10.
Finishing behind them, Levi McCarty, playoff car in 11th. Stephen McDonald involved in that end of the race chaos in 12th. Buck Phelps will finish this race in 13th with Matt Knights in 14th. George Jewell needed a good one, but again, late race chaos puts him P15. Same with Brandon Clark in 16th. Brandon Wallace in 16th. It's Regis Clark in 17th. Michael Seymour 18th. Logan Sturgeon 19th. And Tyler Justice 8 laps down in 20th. Your other DNFs tonight were David Duke 21st. Jake Ham, this is really going to hurt him in the points, 22nd. And Chance Taylor 23rd.
Only 5 cautions on the night, very similar to what I recall Richmond being last year. Another kind of late race reset to kick it off. If my memory serves me right, 3 late changes here, all between Patrick Drabick and Jeremy Gardner there, I believe. I can't remember anybody else being there in the number 1 spot, but we've got some interviews to get to, Sky, and I'm standing by now with Patrick Drabick. Patrick, Logan and Sky up here in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
You fuck yeah!
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
you cut out there. I don't know what happened. It's mic malfunction, something. Well, way to kick off the playoffs. You took home the first win of the regular season. Now you're taking home the first win of the playoffs. How stoked are you in that Jam Printing and Promotion 07 creamsicle car to be up here taking home this first win?
Man, it feels really good. Been a while since I won in the trucks here, so to open up the playoffs with a Richmond win, one of my favorite tracks, was a lot of fun. And then battling Jeremy all night long was a lot of fun. And it just came down to that last pit stop, and I got out in front of him. So yeah, it feels incredible to win here tonight.
So with that said, I kind of mentioned that as we came to the point where you got the lead, you took over the control of the restart. How important was that? It seemed like the top side was really struggling there. And then to follow that up, that last restart, mentioned that you really got on it quite early trying to catch the 42 sleeping. Run me through just all that.
Yeah, I mean, getting off pit road in front of him when we had that cycle of pit stops there was paramount. I could hang with him there in the short run, was probably even a little bit faster in the short run than he was. But he would kind of step away there. So I knew if I got in front of him, I could probably stay in front of him. And then when you can control those restarts, I mean, that's just key, especially when they're just short little runs here at Richmond. And I mean, I hated to see that last caution come out. I think I had him covered, but got another great restart there and was able to bring home the win.
Now, we were a little nervous up there for the 07, knowing that you had that caution come out. I believe you had Sky was at a half-second lead. Yeah, I think you mentioned.
Yeah,
it was around that.
It looked like it was pretty well locked up for you. So that restart really, did it shake up the nerves at all?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I mean, every time you got to, go back up through the gears. I mean, I was catching him on the restarts, launching early each and every time. So I wasn't worried about that part. But it's when you send it down into turn 1, is the truck going to hook up coming out of 2? Because the truck wanted to dance all night long coming out of these corners. So that's the nervous part. When it's only 2 laps and you've got to hit 2 perfect laps because you got a guy like Jeremy Gardner chasing you down. Yeah, it's nerve-wracking, man. It's really nerve-wracking.
Well, great job kicking off this playoffs with the first win. Patrick Drabick, who do you have to thank for putting the 07 on top of the podium tonight?
Man, I want to thank my mom for giving me all this talent that I've gotten. If it wasn't for her and the great DNA between her and my dad, I just wouldn't be as talented as I am today. So I got to thank both of them for sure. But no, I mean, Lincoln Tech and everything that they're doing for us, it's phenomenal. Had lunch with them this week. We're going to be doing some awesome things. The car show's coming up in June, which is going to be awesome. I mean, SAVE22, an amazing organization, has done so much for us here in Goat Locker, but moreover, done so much for our veterans and first responders out there. We got the hike coming up here in 3 weeks. The first weekend in May, Massillon, Ohio, Goat Locker Racing, SAVE22, big hike. So please be there. I think it'd be phenomenal to see as many people as we can there. In the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs, this Monday coming up, we're going to go deliver another sim rig to a veteran, thanks to the grant that they gave us. But thanks to you guys up in the booth. I see the whole crew of guys up here, which is amazing. Watching guys learn the broadcasting stuff and from 2 of the greats, Eddie Smith and Logan Threckhill here and Sky too. But man, I'm just so pumped to get this Jam Printing and Promotions 07 into victory lane. always so happy. They're a tremendous partner of ours, and Amber's just a really, really good friend of mine. So we're going to celebrate this one big time tonight. But thanks. Thank you.
Well, go ahead and get to that celebration, Patrick. You deserve it. We'll see you next week at Charlotte when we really change things up from this Richmond track.
Hell yeah.
28 laps led, the most important one at the very end. The 07 with the first win. As mentioned, you can't ask for a better way to start off the playoffs. Work my way down here to our second place finisher, Jake Ellingson, who comes in right behind teammate, started out in fourth, made his way up to second. Jake Ellingson, you got Logan and Sky up here in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy.
Yes, I do, boys. How's it going?
Fantastic up here. How is it down there? Taking home the second place finish. You know, talking to you pre-race a little bit on the not so sure side. But man, you really found all the speed that you needed in that back half of the race. What was the adjustment that you had to make in that Lincoln Tech 27?
Just backed up the corner a few feet, and that made all the difference. And then just trying to, keep my wits about me and just keep a level head. Something I've been trying to do all season. But just backed up the corner a few feet and let her sail.
We saw you get a little mixed up in some traffic there. How difficult was that to navigate? We tried to emphasize how hard it is to really pass here at Richmond. That outside line being virtually not there for any sort of passing opportunity unless you're trying to defend your position. So what did it take for you to navigate once you fell back a little bit to get all the way back up here to second late in the race?
An extreme amount of patience. It definitely was difficult, but yeah, it was an extreme amount of patience, making sure, it didn't get back on the throttle too soon and get it loose coming out of 2.
2 and 4, even a lot of trucks struggling with the exit on the other side of the track. But it seems that you were able to find it and hold it down here with that late race pass around Jeremy Gardner once he got started to the outside. I kind of asked the same question to Patrick, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of rephrase it to you. How important was it for you to get that inside line on that last restart?
Definitely important. I let Jeremy go with the second to last restart. I knew I was gonna get Jeremy on the initial start, but with him being as aggressive as he was, I knew he was going to get back to the inside of me. So I was just trying to fight him tooth and nail, so Pat could just start sailing away as far as ahead as he could. And I burnt it up just a little bit too much, and on the outside there, and on the last restart, on the green white checker restart, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold Jeremy. And he was coming in a big hurry, and I seen him try to send it in, and I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. So I tried to give him room, going into 3, coming to the checkered, and luckily he didn't do what I thought he was going to do, and kind of raced clean, and got to give Jeremy props for that, man.
Absolutely, but big props to you for taking home second here tonight at Richmond. Jacob Ellison, the floor is yours. Who would you like to thank?
Oh God, I haven't done this in a really long time, so I gotta find it here. I gotta thank Champ Printing and Promotions, one of the original sponsors for Goat Locker. Great to always have them on board. SAVE22, they're doing great things for us. You guys at V Speed for broadcast and the Tuesday series, and the premiere series here on Friday nights. You guys do an amazing job. Can't thank you enough. And then Alexander's PCs. And then I definitely can't thank enough my beautiful wife and my wonderful daughters, who my wife's birthday was yesterday, and my oldest daughter's birthday is today. So happy birthday, girls. I love you. And y'all have a good one.
Well, we'll just go ahead and include a happy birthday to half of the Ellingson family while we're here. Jake, go ahead and celebrate with them, buddy. You got a lot of celebrating to do this weekend. Congratulations on second place.
Thank you much.
That'll wrap it up there. 4th to 2nd. Not a whole lot of movement, but a big jump in the points for Ellingson going into next week. Sky Shrek is now standing by with our 3rd place finisher and last season champion, Jeremy Gardner.
Jeremy, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
You led a lot of laps early, but you ended up falling to third. Tell me about what happened on that last restart.
Cautions killed me right there. That first run, I saved my tires and started pulling away from everybody. And then the caution started flying, so I don't know. I had a couple bad restarts, and they just went right by me, and I had nothing for them. But really just trying to play conservative tonight, trying to get a decent finish so I ain't got to go into next week with a must-win. So overall, I mean, top three, I mean, I'll take it tonight. I mean, Richmond's a hit-or-miss track for me.
Do you think you could have done anything differently at really any point in the race to get yourself ahead of that 07 and into victory lane?
The second run with him before the caution flew, I mean, he took off, but I was gaining back on him, and then caution flew. So after that, I mean, honestly, I had burnt my tires up a little bit trying to get to him. So I don't think so.
All right, well, even though it's not the win, you still got good points tonight, and it sets you up well for next week at Charlotte. Will your point standing affect how you race there, or not so much?
I mean, Charlotte's definitely one of my best tracks. I've ran pretty good there all week, so I think we'll be good on points as long as we can avoid some mistakes and some accidents coming next week. So definitely looking forward to it. I think we'll be all right to go to next round.
All right, well, anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, man. Pat and Jamie at GLR, iRacing, one of my sponsors above the yellow line, Sim Motion. My guys over at SAVE22 for being on the truck and promoting the series. And, of course, y'all guys putting on the broadcast, and my guys over at Premier Racing Setups.
All right, well, congrats on P3 tonight, Jeremy Gardner.
Well, Sky, that was quite the kickoff here to our playoffs. Anything that you'd like to highlight here from Richmond tonight?
And that was just a lot of fun. That was kind of chaos through and through, especially towards the end of the race. There was so much side-by-side, even three-wide racing. Wrecks, chaos. It was awesome.
It was battles all throughout the field as well. Those two early cautions, a nice long green flag run. And got split up there by that first caution of 3 to end out the race. Ultimately, that green-white checkered playing in advantage for the 07 and the 27. That bottom line that we mentioned early on, very, very dominant here every time that the trucks come to Richmond Raceway. But next week, we're going to go about 4.5 hours southwest down to Charlotte, North Carolina, Concord rather, for the next race here in round number 1 of our SAVE22 Truck Series playoffs. If you enjoyed tonight's broadcast, please consider dropping a like and subscribing so you never miss another race. For everybody behind the scenes at Goatwalker, Patrick Gravick, Jamie Farkas, all the other admins, of course, Charles Abert for running our race control week after week. For everybody behind the scenes at V-Speed, Adam Baker, Bradley Cooper, of course, our producer Eddie Smith tonight, my colleague in the booth, as always, Sky Shrek. My name is Logan Threlkeld. Thank you for watching tonight's broadcast, and we will see you all next week in Charlotte.